Cameka Ruth Taylor. I'm an Amazon best-selling author of 25 books, and I call myself the Rocket Writer because I write books fast, in less than 24 hours, but on average 30 days. I want to thank Nerissa Golden for inviting me to do this workshop. And this workshop is about how to write a book in 24 hours or 30 days. Yes, it's possible. I'm going to share how to do that and what kinds of books you can use for that. And you could even at the end have a practice session in which you do that. I also want to tell you why writing matters in this season, and outline the process and share my story briefly. As I said, this presentation is about how to write a book in 24 hours or 30 days. And I want to start off with why we write and then get into the types of rocket writing books and how to do that. One of the self-publishing shows that I listen to, because I am an independent book publisher, I'm not a traditional book publisher, and I self-publish, because once you're paying for it, it's called self-publishing. Even though in the Caribbean, we just call persons who do that publishers, but it is a form of self-publishing once you're paying for it. Mark Dawson and James Blatch in their self-publishing show, their intro ends with this statement: there's never been a better time to be a writer. Publishing has changed. We no longer need the gatekeepers or anybody to tell us whether our work is good enough to write and publish. The door has been flung wide open with Amazon, Kindle, and other platforms that allow digital publishing. We can publish our books whenever we want to. My own government, on World Book and Copyright Day, our Minister of Culture, Gender, Entertainment, and Sports, the Honorable Olivia Grange, said that Jamaicans need to write and publish our own stories. The Caribbean region, we have an oral tradition, and it's has often been said that we're not writing enough. So even though more people are writing, we need to pen our stories so that generations to come can know these stories and be impacted by them. And when I say our own stories, not just made up stories, but our own narratives. Your story, your life story, your expertise, your skills, what you've accomplished, the things that we've done as Caribbean people. We need to write and publish our own stories. From a Christian perspective, this is even biblical. We learn in Psalm 102, verse 18, where the psalmist says, write these things down, record them, so that a generation not yet born can praise the Lord. And in Psalm 96, verse 3, I believe, it says, publish his glorious deeds among the nation. Tell the world how great God is. So from a biblical perspective, we're encouraged to write and publish. And from a cultural, national perspective, our governments are encouraging us to write and publish. Now, one of the things that often holds us back is that we say that we're not going to write because people are not reading and that kind of thing. But even that can work for you. If you recognize that your book is not just a product to sell, but a vehicle for transformation, a vehicle for your vision, and it's a platform that opens doors for you to do a number of things. So if you write it, you will speak it. If you write it, you will teach it. So don't just focus on the physical product of the book to sell it. You have to pen it to win it and go beyond book sales, but also understand the power of a book. So it's not, the power of book doesn't just lie in you selling the book. A book, use the word author, acronym there. It gives you authority and status. The word authority has author in it. It also brings awareness and attention to different things. That could be your business, that could be a cause, a nonprofit, whatever it is. Once you write a book, people want to know, what have you written? And before you know it, people start inviting you to share here and there. So it unlocks doors. I am here today because I wrote a book. Sometimes I get television interviews because I wrote a book. I've been invited to South Africa I was invited because I wrote a book. And so the book unlocks doors. One of the fastest ways to get on television or a TED Talk is that you have a book, or on a podcast. Once you have a book, you can leverage that to gain the attention and traction that you need. Now, books also teach and transform beyond our borders. There are people, due to the digital publishing revolution, who will be reading your book in Africa, in Europe, and countries that within those continents that you would never ever visit. Somebody's reading your book and is being impacted by it. And sometimes decades and hundreds of years after, people are reading books that were written before, and it is changing their lives right now. Again, as a Christian, the Bible is a good example of that. Miles Monroe is gone, Dr. Miles Monroe, but we are reading his books and we are still being impacted, though he's no longer here. So books help to serve and solve a problem. So as an author, it allows you to document those things. It's opportunities for wider reach. Writing a book helps you to get extra revenue. And as I said, it's a record for the future. It's a legacy. So I want to encourage you to pen it to win it, go beyond books sales. And that is what I have done. So I was a missionary. I have 2 degrees in theology. So you hear me make the biblical references. And I was told that I could write, but I didn't really believe it. When I was finishing my first degree, I was applying to go to Yale University because I was told that I was a bright young person. I wanted to test that understanding, test that brilliance in a setting that was not necessarily Christian, because I went to Christian schools. But my boss at the time, the head of the seminary, redirected me to the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology, but he did it with this saying. He said, I want you to do this particular program because I believe you can write. Now, that is strategic because we need to value what we have, because we have talent, skills, and schools here that can produce people of world-class renown. Look in sports, for example, in Jamaica, you have Usain Bolt. He was trained at home and has excelled on the world stage. When you look at V.S. Naipaul and Derek Walcott, they won the Nobel Prize because of their work. So the Caribbean has within it authors who have the potential to produce world-class writing and stories and training. So that's part of the reason I believe God said, stay here so that you can show that we can make a difference from home. And then within the Yale prospectus, my friend Golda from Trinidad wrote, I look forward to seeing your books in the future, but I didn't believe that. So fast forward 10 years later, on the heels of a broken engagement, I remembered a quote from a book by William Barclay, a noted theologian, and he said, endurance is not just the ability to bear a hard thing, but to turn it into glory. And one of my mentors said, writing is therapeutic. And I knew how I was going to turn this traumatic experience into glory. I was going to write, but not just write of my trauma. I was going to write of how I overcame that. And within 11 days, I wrote my first manuscript of 68,000 words. And I recognized then that, this is something special. You know, on NaNoWriMo, National Novel Writing Month, they ask you to write 50,000 words over 30 days. And I wrote almost 68,000 words in 11 days. So I knew I was onto something. I say that to say that you may be fearful, you don't think you can, but things that you think are not possible are possible. And so to date, I have 25 books. This was a snapshot of about 19 in my bookshop. I decoded my principles. I found I was writing faster. So within 2 to 3 days, I had a book done because I now started writing what we call short books or small books of 10 to 30,000 words. Some of them went more than that, but they are small books. And so within a year, I wrote 20 manuscripts, and then I published 16 of them. So that is how I have so many books in a short time. I say that to say that what I'm sharing is tried and proven. In fact, right now, within the Rocket Writing group, in the first 7 days, somebody has completed their short book. And Amazon has a section called Short Kindle Reads. And so it has been proven over and over that what I'm about to share works. So the book Penny to Win It gives you the rationale behind it and tells you the possibilities of what you can do with a book. And then the Rocket Writer breaks down the principles. So I share that. So one is the why. Penny to Win It gives you the why. And the Rocket Writer gives you the how. You can get the Rocket Writer for free at extramileja.com on my website, or you can go to Amazon. It's in ebook form, and get the Kindle version for free, or in case you don't grasp everything that will be said in this workshop. All right, so let's get into what are rocket writing books? What books lend themselves to rocket writing? The books that lend themselves, I specialize in nonfiction books. So it could be that you write short stories, but I'm not too au fait with that. I have not attempted to do fiction books, but nonfiction books include your biographies, your inspirationals, your devotionals, your textbooks, your memoirs. And I'm encouraging a lot more memoirs, but memoirs along with your skills where you're teaching something. Children's books also lend themselves to rocket writing because they are short. So as you see on the screen, children's books don't have a lot of words, 10 to 30,000 words, for the 7 to 12 age group. So that lends itself to rocket writing. You're writing Ruth-like books. That's why I adopted the name Ruth, like Ruth in the Bible. The book of Ruth is a small book, but it is powerful. And it is said to be one of the best pieces of literature written. But it was a story of two women, two widows, and how one of them was able to remarry, and how they went from disaster to delight, from poverty to plenty, or from plenty to poverty and back to plenty. So rocket writing books, you're writing about your expertise. So this, like how I wrote my story so fast, is because it was my story. I knew it. You're writing about your experience, things that you've been through. You sometimes use existing material. Maybe it's a workshop you did. It's a sermon series. Maybe you're a speaker, so the things you've been speaking on. Maybe you have a YouTube channel or your blog or something, and you have material already put aside. Maybe it's you've done your degree and it's your dissertation, the material has been set aside. So you go back now and organize that because you want to write without editing and doing a lot of research, or you do the research before, then you write. So this is the kind of material that lends itself to writing fast. Next, I want to give you 10 rocket writing book ideas. Again, we start off with your skill, your hobbies, and your passion. You can turn those into books. Your personal story, maybe places you've traveled, different experiences of overcoming something. You have an inspirational story. Pen that. It's the thing you already teach. So if you're a teacher in a school or so, write about the things that you teach on. Answers to problems, how to. You want to address how to travel on a budget, how to teach a language, something, how to start a garden, how to go vegan. You turn that into a book. So answers to problems, how to do XYZ, you turn that in a book. I have books on how to write. I also have books on how to overcome heartbreak and heartache. So I have one called Unshackled Queen. Seminar, workshop. If you've done a seminar or workshop or boot camp, turn that to a book. One of my books, Entrepreneur Secrets, was done to teach the principles at a boot camp. Speaking presentations, college papers, your dissertation, sermon series, the book. Rick Warren wrote The Purpose-Driven Life out of a Bible study series that he was doing, and look, it became a big hit. Historical events, family, history. I have a friend, one of the members of our entrepreneur group, Pat Lindsay Fletcher, she wrote a book called Hezekiah, which was based on her grandfather's story. So you can turn your family story into a book or books. So what's the process like? There are 5 steps to write a book in 24 hours or 30 days. And by 24 hours, it doesn't necessarily have to be the entire physical one day, like from 12 a.m. to 12 a.m. again the next day. It could be that you break this thing up. You write 8 days today, 8 days another day, and 8 days another day. So that's three 8-hour sessions. What I found though is once I prepare my clients, my writers, I may take 2 hours to prepare them. I'm going to show you the preparation process, that I had sessions where they are writing fast. So within 6 hours, they can get the entire book out. That could be, with my clients, 6 hours spread out each week. So they're writing books in less than 24 hours, getting their first draft out. You could schedule 1 hour each day for 24 days to write, and you will end up completing that book. You could schedule write every day for 30 days and you get the book done. But before you write it, I often say you must design it. So here's the 5-part process to do the rocket writing. You have to plan it, then pen it, or you may want to present it. Then later you polish it and then publish it. Remember, this is the first draft. And you want to kiss it. So you're keeping it short and simple, because short books sell. You want a book that they can read in one sitting if this is your first book, so you get a quick win. So that might end up being 100 or 150 pages when it is formatted. So keep it short and simple. In Jamaica, we would say little but talawa. So small, powerful books. Before you write it, though, design it. There are some things that you need to bear in mind in your planning stage. You need to think about the message. What is it that I want to get across? So even if it's your story, what is the major transformation? What is it that you want to get across? Sometimes you can summarize it in one word. Redemption is a story of redemption. Hope is a story of hope. Maybe it's resilience, it's a story of resilience. And you want to say, despite all that has happened to you, yes, you can. You want to say, chase your dreams. You want to say, don't give up. What is that message that you want to pass on? Write that down. Think of the audience. Who has the problem that you're going to solve? Every nonfiction book solves a problem, even if it's a memoir. So it helps to solve a problem, serve something. Think of the pain that people are going through. What is the pain that you or problem you want to address in this book? Write it down. And then what's the prescription? So at the end of reading this book, what are people going to discover or learn? What strategies are you going to share? And you write those things down, because this is now the design, the plan that's going to determine how you write. So that's part of the planning. And then you outline the book. So you begin with a draft. Some people don't do outline. You just get the idea and they just get on the computer and they can write. I'm an outline, and I teach people to outline, jot down all the ideas that come to mind when you want to write this book. Think of you giving a 6-hour seminar, and you need to share your story and present everything in that time. How would you start? What next? Think of you planning a conference and you have 6 different sessions. What topics would you cover? Each of those can become a chapter. So you just outline, write on all the ideas. Sometimes you can group the ideas into categories and sections. And so you may end up with different parts or sections of the book. So you do that. Then now you decide now on the chapters. You don't have to write the chapters in order. Once you have these ideas, because your outline is going to change, you're going to revise later. What we want is like a brain dump, a brain vomit, as one of my friends call it. Just get everything out. So you prep the chapter. So if you want to write on your early childhood or high school, what is a chief idea that you want to share about high school? So you don't just write everything about your life if you're writing your story. You have to plan it like a TED Talk. What is the central idea I want to get across? What point do I want to make? What examples am I going to use? And so you prep the chapter, jot down the ideas, like you're giving a speech or a PowerPoint like this. So you could even write the book like you're doing a PowerPoint, a seminar, and you record it on Zoom. So what's the central idea? For every chapter, you write that down. What's the message worth sharing? What is the compelling idea that you are going to share? And then how do you back that up? You want an introduction that is compelling to lead, into that chapter. Explanation, give explanation, provide evidence. Do you need to provide any statistics, quote from any authority? How are you going to evoke emotion so you don't make the story boring? Give examples or experience, events, yours or others, but make sure everything links back to the main point. So you bear this in mind as you write. For those of us who give speeches or talks, there's also the peel it method, which is the point, main point, the example, the explanation, and you link everything back. And then you have to decide now, what method are you going to use? Are you going to just write, or are you going to present it? Meaning you're going to speak your book. I find that a combination works, but if you speak the content like you're having a conversation with an individual, like you're presenting it, you go faster. And there are different voice to text apps like Otter, OTTER.ai that you can use, Zoom that you can record and then you transcribe it later, have somebody transcribe it. You can use your computer. Various laptops have inbuilt in it those speech to text microphones, and so you can do that. In 15 minutes, you may get 2,000 words out if you speak it. I had one member of my first authorpreneur boot camp, the rocket writing boot camp. In 20 minutes, she got 3,000 words out. And she was a lecturer at the University of Technology and specializes in public health, and she got it done. One of the things, so as you're doing this, write without editing. You use two different sides of the brain, one to edit, one to write. So you don't want to confuse it. You don't want to stop the flow of thoughts. I know all you English buffs, don't do that. That's going to slow you down, because the whole aim is just to get the content out quickly. It could be after that 1 hour or 15 minutes of writing that you go back and polish it at that time. But while you're getting the ideas out, write with your head and write with your heart and not your head. Somebody wants to write drunk, edit sober. So don't edit, because that's going to interrupt the flow. Write for the 15 minutes to 1 hour, then you go back and polish it. And yeah, it's a first draft, not a perfect draft. And so that is the process. So I want you to practice. I want you to think of your story, think of your expertise, think of something maybe you're passionate about, and then you're just going to jot down those ideas. For now, I just want you to focus on one chapter. If you were to write a chapter of your life, what would it be? What would be the message? Think of it like a little TED Talk. What would the message? Who would you be writing to? What problem are you addressing in this chapter? What story you want to come out? And then set your phone, the stop clock, 15 minutes, and choose if you want to speak it or write it. And then at the end of it, if you've written it, then you can have that, count the number of words. If you have spoken it, you want to go back now, and if you use one of those devices like Otter, then you export it and it will show you the number of words at the bottom, and you clean that up, and you just continue to do that. To finish the process, to finish the whole book, you have to time block, right? You need to time block, set time to write. If you don't set the time to write, you won't write. You have to set a start date and a finish date, and you can get an accountability partner to journey with you to ensure that you finish. In fact, I have my author sign pledges that I will finish my book X date. Some of you, it may take longer. There's no need to rush it. But it's just showing you that it can be done faster. Is the book going to be of any good? Well, the feedback from my books, they've been helpful. Many persons said they've found my books helpful and they've been written fast. One lady said it's always a treat to read your books. And Nerissa and others can testify to some of the books they've read, including The Rocket Writer and others. So a book written fast can actually be a valuable book. So I say write small, valuable books. And that brings me to the end of this presentation. If you need more help, you can go to my website, extramileja.com, find my books and my programs on writing and publishing. And so you can do it. It's time to pen and publish our stories. The future generations are depending on it. And you never know the doors that will be unlocked when you write a book. So I say, like James Blatch and Mark Dawson, there's never been a better time to be a writer. Ta for now, until next time. Go write your book. Go pen it to win it now.